Hi, everyone. Welcome back or welcome to the Aural Theory YouTube series. My name is Dr. Julia Alford. In this video, we are going to continue our look at harmonic dictation using the soprano and the bass and chords. And if you've missed the previous two videos, I'll link them below in the notes. And here's an iCard for the last one, or over there, whichever side it's on. I don't know. So today we're going to leap into predominant chords, but we're going to keep it pretty simple. So in the last two videos, we looked at what we call tonic expansion, or expanding on the tonic, basically 1s and 5 chords, right? It's setting you up, it's getting you comfortable with the key. And now we're going to move towards the cadence. And we're going to keep things very simple. So it's going to be tonic expansion, predominant, dominant, tonic. And because we're adding these different function chords, we're going to start with mapping of listening to what does this chord sound like? Does it sound like it's part of tonic expansion? Is this our predominant chord? Is it our dominant chord? Or is it our sort of cadence tonic chord? We're just going to call it tonic. All right, so a good analogy that I like to use with my students is a train ride. So you're on the train, you're going around, you're looking at some scenery. Let's see, you've got your nice sort of tonic expansion, just letting you know what's going on, and that's it. And then the announcer comes on, and if you're in Philadelphia like I am, you probably can't understand it, but it'll say something like, Temple University, next stop, and that will let you know, okay, it's time to gather up your stuff and get ready to go. And that's where the predominant chord comes in. And that's your forward motion. It's going to sound something like this, or maybe like this, or like this, but it sounds different. It has a different feeling to it. And that's going to tell you that the cadence is coming up. And then we're going to move into the cadence, which is going to be another dominant chord. So you're going to go from something like this to like that. And then we're going to come to a nice place of rest. So the tonic expansion is all about motion, exploration. The predominant moves us towards the cadence, and you get the dominant chord, which in this case is really either going to be a 5 or a 5/7 chord. We're going to abandon the inversions and the 7 diminished 6 chord. We're just going to have the 5 and the 5/7. And then you're going to land on the 1 chord, pretty much, for now. That's where we're going to leave it. So, but let's back up. The predominant chord, sometimes it's called, different textbooks call it different things. One textbook calls it the subdominant. I won't get into that now, but the predominant chord, it comes before the dominant. So there's 2 chords that fit this bill really well. There's other ones, but the main ones are the 2 and the 4. And the strongest predominant chord will have fa in the bass, and that's because, or the 4th scale degree. So you get that nice fa, sol, do motion, and that's what we're going to play around with today. So predominant chord is going to have fa in the bass, sol, and then do. In minor, you could potentially have re in the bass for the 2 chord, but the fa is much stronger, at least in our Western art music tradition. Okay, so that's what it's going to be. We're going to jump in, dive in, and we'll keep talking about it as we go. I'm going to do 2 dictations, but I'm going to go through them relatively quickly to try to keep this video not being horribly long. So our first dictation is an A major. It is 7 chords, and we're going to have an A 2 in the bass, so that A at the bottom of the bass clef staff, and then, or do, and then the right hand, or the soprano, is going to also have A, and that's going to be the one within the treble clef staff, or let me think, A4. Yeah, so those are your 2 otter notes. For these first 2 listings, I just want you to listen, and what we're going to do is create what's called a map. And you're going to mark each chord as tonic expansion, or when you get to the predominant, you're going to draw an arrow, mark that as predominant, and then the dominant chord, and then the tonic chord. This is going to be pretty easy this week because, or for this lesson, depending on how you're watching this, because there's only going to be 1 predominant chord. You could have more than 1, but for this video, we're just going to have 1. So you're going to have tonic expansion, so you could just draw a line, kind of outline where that tonic expansion section is, and then mark, right, PD for the predominant, D for the dominant, and T for the tonic. So take a listen. We're just going to play this twice, and see if you can get that outlined for yourself there. Ready? So here's our starting chord. Good. Okay, let's listen to it once more. So hopefully you had a sense of where something was changing. You could kind of also, by some logic, deduce where the predominant, the dominant, and the tonic happen. But let's just listen, see if you can feel where that shift from tonic expansion to motion towards the cadence happens. Okay, let's give it a go. Okay, re-listen if you want. You can always back up. I'm going to show you the map in 3, 2, 1. Let's go. So that's it. So our first, like I said, you can deduce it. The first 4 chords are tonic expansion. The predominant is your third to last chord. Your dominant is your second to last chord, and your tonic is your last chord, as it should be. So remember your options. We're going to move into taking down the bass. Okay, little quick review. The 1 chord is your tonic. That can be do or mi in the bass. It's made up by do, mi, or sol. We're limited in what we can have in the bass. The 5/7 chord, or the 7 diminished 6, is going to have some combination of sol, ti, re, or fa in the bass. If you need more information on that, I go into it in a lot of detail in the last video, so back up and watch that if you need to. I'm not going to go into it anymore now. So those are kind of our bass options. So do, mi is going to be the 1 chord. Sol, ti, re, or fa could be some iteration of the 5, the 5/7, or the 7 diminished 6 chord. Remember, our re is our wild card. We're going to hone in on that one. Then for the predominant, like I said, you're going to have fa in the bass for this video. So that's going to be fa, and that's going to give you either the 4 or the 2 chord in first inversion. So 4 chord in root position, or 2 in first inversion. And then sol is going to be your 5 or your 5/7, and then do will be your tonic. Okay, so let's listen in and see if you can grab the bass. I mean, you already know the last 3 pitches, fa, sol, do. So really, you just have to get 4 pitches in the bass. I'll give you 2 listenings. Okay, once more. Lovely, right? Okay, so you should have, again, pause it if you need to, go grab more listenings, but the bass line is do, re, ti, do, and then like I promised, fa, sol, do. All right, so do, you can go ahead and mark those as your 1 chords. So now we're going to kind of like take some guesses at our chords. It's helpful for you to list out beneath each note. I can't tell you how many times I look at my students' worksheets and they don't have this written out. So if you're one of my students and you're watching this, do expect to see this. So you should write the 1 chord below that A. Below the B or re, you've got some options, right? It could be 5/6/4. It could be 7 diminished 6. It could be 5/4/3. T, that's got to be 5/6/5. And then we're back to the A for the 1 chord. Fa, the second fa, the predominant fa could either be 4, which is major, or it could be 2, which is minor. And we're going to listen to the soprano and see if we get any clues there. And if not, we'll hone in on that chord quality to make our decision. The sol could be 5 or 5/7, so those are your 2 options. And then the do, it has to be tonic, so you just write in a 1 chord there. All right, so let's listen to the soprano. Like I said, starts on do. I'll try and play it out a little bit. Let's see if I can do it. sure how much I was able to bring that out, but let's do one more listening, and I'll try and roll the chords up a little bit so you get a little bit of emphasis on it. Pause if you need to, re-listen, and let's go over the answer for the soprano. So do, it's kind of doing the opposite of what the bass is. So if you're able to pick that out, that could help you. Do, T, Re, Do, and then Do, T, Do. Okay. So let's think about, again, our chords. The 7, looking at that second chord on Re, 7 diminished 6 is T, Re, Fa. And we have Re in the bass and T in the soprano. There could be a sol in the inner voice. If you hear a sol in the inner voice, it would be a common tone coming over from the 1 chord, probably. If not, it would be, if there's only, the other way to think of it, if there's 3 notes, it's a 7 diminished 6. If there's 4 notes, it's a 5-4-3. The 5-6-4, sorry, start again. So if there's 3 notes and it's crunchy, it's a 7 diminished 6 or dissonant. If there's 4 notes, it's a 5-4-3. If there's 3 notes and it's kind of like a little pleasant sounding, then it's a 5-6-4 because there's no tritone in there. Okay, so that's what you're listening for on that second chord. Now, skipping forward, the spelling of a 4 chord, fa, la, do, okay, or 4-6-1, fa, la, do is a 4 chord. A 2 chord is re, fa, la. So the 2 notes that they have in common are fa and la. So if you've got fa or la in the soprano, you're kind of out of luck. But if you have re in the soprano, then you have a 2-6 chord. If you have do in the soprano, you have a 4 chord. And what do we have on that third chord? Third to last chord? Bingo, we have do. So we know it is a 4 chord. But let's listen for that quality again so we can get a sense of what that sounds like. And then the second to last chord, we need to tell if it is a 5-7 or just a 5. And there we're listening for a level of dissonance that comes from that tritone. There could only, because of part writing rules, there could only be 3 notes, but it will still sound dissonant and like it has to resolve a bit more powerfully. I'll point that out. Okay, so let's listen just one more time for the chord quality because we've already listened to this a lot and there's not much left to figure out. Okay, first chord, second chord, so it's a 4th chord, and then this third to last chord, it's major, right? It's major, so not only do you have do in the soprano, but it's also major, so it's definitely a 4 chord. You hear that little tritone there that wants to resolve, so it's a 5-7. You're also more often than not going to have a 5-7 as your penultimate chord versus a 5. It's just a stronger cadence. So when in doubt, I would guess a 5-7. Educated guessing, that's always helpful. So you've got all the answers. Here is the answer. I'm going to pop it up on the screen and let's talk through it. So we've got the 1 chord. Then we have the 7 diminished 6. Okay, you do have this tritone, but it's kind of far apart. And that's getting you there. And there's no, so if it was a 5 chord, that E, it would probably be a little bit different. The E would probably be carrying over from the first chord as a common tone. And you would have that. And then we go on to the 5-6-5. 1. I guess you could have a 5-6. That's the other thing that I didn't mention. That could be a 5-6, which would just be a triad. But again, dissonance to a 1 chord, and then the 4 chord, 5-7, 1. Okay. One more. This is already going on too long. This next one's going to be in G minor. Okay, so you have G in the bass and G in the soprano. Again, the difference is that it's a minor, right? There's your first chord, So let's start with same thing. Now you can kind of just look at it. There's 7 chords and decide take a guess at where the predominant, the dominant, and the tonic are going to be. So it's, for this one, it's definitely going to be those last 3 chords. So same map as before, but listen to it now. I'm going to play it twice and just pretend like you don't know and see if you can hear that shift from the tonic expansion to the predominant chord. One more time. Okay, got a good map. Everything's where hopefully you felt that shift into the predominant chord on that 5th chord. Let's grab the bass. So again, starts on G and see if you can hear what's going on. Again, if you don't know, I'll tell you right now, there's a leap at the beginning. If you don't know where it's leaping to, see if you can hear where it ends, because sometimes if you work backwards, you can figure out that leap. Okay, so use that as you will. Okay. Another thing that I like to do during mapping, you can do another level of it, is where you go, okay, you know your tonic expansion. Now ask yourself which chords are tonic and which are dominant. And that can kind of help you figure out some leaps too. So actually with that in mind, let's do one more listening just for the map and see if you can flush that out as well. I'll play it kind of fast. Okay, so I'll leave you with that. I'm not going to give you the answer. Let's listen to the bass one more time. Okay, so it leaps up and then it steps down. Now both do to fa and do to sol could do that, right? Because you go do, sol, fa, me, that's an option. Or you could go do, fa, me, re, but those would give you completely different chords. So that's why I have you think through tonic. Is that dominant? Does it sound the same as the previous chord? No. And either one would be, but then where does it go? Does it go to a dominant chord or a tonic chord? It's dominant, right? So if you have do leaping up to fa and it's stepping down, it would have to be a 1 to a 5, 4, 2 to a 1, 6. Feel free to write that out if you wanted. So do, fa, me would give you tonic, dominant, tonic. Whereas do, sol, fa would give you tonic, dominant, dominant. And then if you keep going, you end up with a tonic. So what do we have? Back it up and listen to it some more if you need to. Here's the answer for the bass. We have do, sol, fa, me, back up to fa, sol, do. And it's interesting too, this is a good showcase of the behavior of fa in the dominant chord. It has to step down to the 1-6, or it could go to another 5-7 chord. But in the predominant, the fa is always going to step up to sol for that cadence. Okay, let's talk through your chord options. So we start on a 1 chord. The sol could be a 5 or a 5-7. Fa has to be a 5-4-2. Me has to be a 1-6. that next fa could be a 2 diminished 6 chord or a minor 4. Now, another clue, in minor, you're not going to have a re for predominant because that would give you a 2 diminished chord in root position, and that's incredibly, incredibly rare. So you can assume that a 2 diminished chord is going to be in first inversion for these types of progressions. And then we go to sol, which could be a 5 or a 5/7, and then tonic 1. Right, so let's give it a listen for the soprano and see if we can gather any more clues. Ready? 2 listenings. Okay, so soprano's kind of low, so it might be hard to pick out. You can hum along if you want. Do. I'm not going to hum along because it will screw everything up, but you can hum along if you want. Here's your ending note. Does it sound like tonic or no? Sol, we end on sol. So there's a little clue there for you. Okay, grab more listenings if you want. I'm going to show you the answer for the soprano. We're not going to look at the chords yet because we're going to talk about it, but the soprano is here. All right, so we start in do, do, T, T, and if you listen to a little clue, you may have caught this already. The only thing that changes to the next chord is the bass. That's a big clue. I'll talk about it in a minute. So T, do, T, T, do, to, la, lay, sorry. Lay, so no help there. Sol. I'm giving you so many clues with these rolling. Sol. Okay, so our chord options, we start on the 1 chord, 5 or 5/7, but if you notice, if the only thing is changing is between 2 chords is the bass, and the bass is going to the 7th, the first chord has to be a 5 chord. Okay, so 1, 5, 5, 4, 2, 1, 6. Sorry, if you don't understand that, leave me a note and maybe I'll make a video. So comment below if you want to see a video talking about that, the chord structures a little bit more, and I'll see if I can work that in. So we've got 1, 5, 5, 4, 2, 1, 6. That's all set. You don't need to even listen to the quality for that. And then it's either a 2 diminished 6 or a 4. So it's either minor, which would be the 4, or it's diminished, so extra crunchy, would be our 2 diminished 6 chord. And then 5 or 5/7 is there dissonance in it to a minor 1. So one more listening for the quality. We already know. Now here's that predominant chord. Here's a big clue. To the 1. All right, so ready? Answer, and now. So we've the minor 1, the 5 chord, you can see that with the notation. The only thing is changing is that bass line going down to the 7th. To the minor 1, to a 2 diminished 6. You can see that, sorry, you can see the re in the tenor lines is kind of hidden away there, but those are really close together pitches between the tenor, the alto, and the soprano. Really dissonant, crunchy, 2 diminished 6 to the 5/7. That second, if you have second together, and that has to be a 5/7 chord, because the 7th is either a 7th above the root of the chord or a 2nd below. Again, leave me a comment. Let me know if you want me to talk more about these little tricks. To the minor 1. Okay, That's it. I hope you learned something. Leave me some comments, give me a like, give me that thumbs up, give me a subscribe, and let me know what else you want to see. And I will talk to you very soon. Bye.